From the oldest city in the USA, St. Augustine tonight, with our guests,
Kerry Fradley, Kathleen Vanden Berg,
musical guest,
David Toscanini,
and your host, Jorge Rivera.
Yeah, we're back. St. Augustine tonight. It's starting to become like a doctor's medication, something you got to take once a week to stay informed. We want to thank, as always, our Foxtrot Creative Studios for our banner, Garrett Brothers, Home Furniture and Decor, and, you know, our caterer for our guests of the show today is City Bistro, right there on Old Mission and US 1. These people are starting a catering that is just awesome. The spread that City Bistro brought for us today is yum, yum, and yum are the only three words I can say. So thank you, City Bistro, for being part of this whole project called St. Augustine Tonight. You know, watching the news, and I don't know if you saw this girl in Wisconsin, in Milwaukee, I believe it was. She came to gas her car, and as she's gassing the car, this black car comes up. A guy comes out, they come to steal her car. So they deliver the thief in a black sedan. He runs into her car, she leaves the gas pistol, runs around, jumps on the on the front of the car, front of the glass, holding on to the wipers. The guy is accelerating and hitting the brakes to try to knock her off. She is holding on for dear life. People start coming out. He runs out of her car, leaves it in drive, runs into the black sedan, and he speeds. She, like Wonder Woman, whips around, opens the door, gets in, saves the car as it's going into a busy intersection. I said, this is Wonder Woman. She's a beautiful girl. Melissa Smith, I think, is her name. So let's give her a hand for a real community neighborhood watch here. I mean, they were interviewing her before. She says, I don't know what I was thinking, but I knew they were not going to take my car. And amazing, amazing. Now, something else great in the news. There's the gentleman who invented the lithium battery is 94 years old, and he works every day. So guess what he did? He did the new lithium-ion battery, which, listen to this, it's 5 times more powerful. It does not explode because it doesn't use chemicals. It uses crystals. Number 3, it charges in minutes. In minutes. You know how we have to wait 20, 30 minutes? All right? And this guy's 94 years old. Well, what's up, dude? Take a break. Retire. We're going to love it. I'm going to love this new. Could you imagine an electric car, instead of 200 miles, it'll go 1,000 miles? It's going to revolutionize the whole industry. Of course, it's a couple of years before it hits, but he's tested it, and it's the whole buzz and the new technology of batteries. The other thing I saw, okay, what is a Bitcoin? It's a new form of currency. When you ask people what is a Bitcoin, what they say, it's digital currency, electronic currency. Well, does it have a central bank? No. Can I hold it? No. When you do transactions with it, is there a charge? No. If we're a transaction like a credit card, is there a fee? No. The reason it's in the news is because when it came out in 2009, some people paid something like, I don't know, 75 cents for a Bitcoin or something. This week, the price of a Bitcoin went over the price of gold. So there's a guy who bought some Bitcoins in 2009 who has some Bitcoins that are worth now close to $20,000, all right? And he's like, bonus. Now here's the other thing. They compare the Bitcoin to a mineral, to a precious stone like gold, all right? You can mine Bitcoin. How do you mine Bitcoin? The way you mine Bitcoin is that you solve these very complicated mathematical problems with supercomputers. When you find the answer to one of these equations, you get a Bitcoin and you save it. They're only going to make about 21 million Bitcoins, these imaginary things. So in the year 2040, there's no more Bitcoins. Confuse me, please confuse me. So it's very much like the dollar in a way. The dollar's worth what we believe it's worth. We don't know what a dollar is. It's paper. So all that world of currency is all make-believe. About gold. Why is gold precious, beautiful stone? Because we believe it's a precious, beautiful stone. So it's very, very interesting on that. On the sad side of health, all I have to say is, anyone here with a pacemaker? No? All right. So they found out that hackers can get into the encoding software of pacemakers. So there could be a guy who has a pacemaker and his heart starts doing a Roomba. Boom, 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 boom. And the manufacturer didn't know about it because someone hacked the system, the software, got in there, changed the code, and now, like, you know, every third day, his heart's doing a Roomba or a cha-cha-cha. It's at a different beat. This is crazy. I mean, if I had a pacemaker right now, I go, say, what? You know? All right. And my last bit of news, which I found very interesting, there's a phone maker. Well, no, there's two news on that. Number one, Nokia. Remember the 3310 Nokia? It's that very popular phone that everyone used to use. It's back, ladies and gentlemen. They have made it again. It works just the same. All you can basically do is call on it, and the texting is just as bad as it was, one letter at a time, you know, very difficult, moving the cursor, and you can't do much more with it. It's back. They call that a dumb phone. Yeah, what we have are smartphones. If a phone is not a smartphone with a screen like we have, it's known in the industry as a dumb phone. All it does is make a call and maybe text, all right? So they brought back the dumb phone, the most popular dumb phone of all times, the Nokia 3310, and it's selling. It's selling. There's people who don't want to check their email, they don't want to get on the internet, they don't want music. It does take a picture, a horrible picture, but it does take a picture. So that's it. But the other news on the phones is that Samsung came out with a new phone. This is hilarious. So Samsung is all bragging that their new phone has this new technology which it reads your eye, your retina. You know, you put the phone in front of you, zzz, and it's supposed to be the most secure phone. So a guy went to a guy, took a picture of his eyeball, put it in front of the phone, and it unlocked it. Oh my God. So Samsung's reply to this, you know what it was? It was this. We know about it. We're fixing it. This is embarrassing, you know. They had the exploding phones, as you know. It was great in the army. If you're trapped, you just throw your phone and kill the enemy. But so much for that. Okay. But talking about phones, this is not a phone call. This is a show. And we have wonderful guests today. Wonderful guests. We have Kerry Fradley is with us today. Kathleen Vanden Berg is with us today. And the amazing David Toscanini is with us today. So let's cut for these messages, and we'll be back. And we're going to listen to a little bit of Mr. Toscanini's music. Thank you.
At Martinez & Associates, we can help you with many things. Number one is income for life throughout your retirement, which is very important. Number two would be Medicare choices, which are very confusing. Number three is a legacy for your loved ones. And finally, keeping you independent throughout retirement. My name is Tuli Martinez. Call this number y hablamos español.
At St. Augustine Distillery, we're part of a new generation of American craft distillers. Family owned and operated, we are committed to making the best possible spirits using local agriculture. Our distillers make everything by hand, from mashing and blending to distilling and tasting each and every batch. We distill and bottle everything we sell, making sure that the spirits are just right before barreling and aging. Bottled by real people, we love showing our guests not only what we do, but why we do it. We're passionate about educating our guests to not only what goes into each bottle, but how to make the best possible cocktails. We love St. Augustine, and thanks to your purchases, we're able to give back to the community and help local organizations each and every day.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you for your support.
St. Augustine Distillery, handmade with pride in the nation's oldest city.
And now, David Toscanini.
In any industry, the best-known product is the one most frequently purchased. Think of industry leaders like Coke, Nike, and Starbucks. It's true in real estate too. The most successful realtors have strong personal brands. In fact, branding is especially important in the real estate industry. The National Association of Realtors tells us that reputation is the most important factor when choosing an agent, and another word for reputation is brand. It's not who you know, it's who knows you.
In her special way, and I just have to say, in my life, I love that woman, 'cause she's more than I deserve, and she gets me where I live. I'll give all I have to give. I'm talking about that hummingbird.
We're back, ladies and gentlemen, after listening to Mr. Toscanini. Wow, I am with Kerry Fradley. So nice to have you. So nice to have you.
Glad to be here.
Yes, and I guess the way I've gotten to know you is going to so many choruses, choirs, all sorts of groups of people singing, where you're at the piano, or you're directing, conducting. And wow, you're involved with, how many groups are you involved right now here in St. Augustine?
I have 4 or 5.
Wow.
I direct 2 groups.
Okay.
The St. Augustine Youth Chorus,
Okay.
which I founded, and the North Florida Women's Chorale.
Right. Now the North Florida Women's Chorale is based in Jacksonville, is that correct?
It is. We rehearse in Jacksonville. And probably 2/3 of our people are Jacksonville people, but 1/3 is St. Augustine. A lot of women from St. Augustine go there, and we carpool together, so we enjoy getting to know each other as we drive back and forth to the rehearsals.
Yes. And so my question for you is, where are you originally from?
I am I was born in Alabama, but I lived most of my childhood in Florida Winter Park, Florida, which is just north of Orlando.
I was just there this week. That is so different from the rest of Orlando.
It's a beautiful area.
It's like a little St. Augustine in a way.
Yes, it is.
It is like a
got
small.
that beautiful downtown area.
That European flair to it, and the cafes and the boutiques. It's very, very nice. And so, how long have you been in St. Augustine?
13 years.
Wow,
14 years.
wow. And how did you evolve or got into this whole chorus, directing and arranging and all that?
Yeah. Well, I started singing when I was probably 2 years old. And so I've done music all my life. I majored in college in piano and then vocal music for a master's degree. And when I lived in Virginia, which is most of my adult life, that's when I really got started with choirs, doing church choirs and community choirs.
Were you exposed to that as a child growing up? You said you started singing at 2, but was there that kind of music around you as you grew up those first years?
Yes, both of my parents are musical. My father was a singer, a church musician, and actually an evangelist.
Okay.
And he sang and traveled all over the country.
Wow.
And we followed the drum, so to speak. And then my mother was a music major also.
And what part of school did you, as you got into it, I know a lot of people go into college with an idea of what they want to do, whether it's music or anything else, and sometimes at some point they go in another direction. But when do you think you knew this is my cup of tea?
Yeah. Well, I was always involved with music, but I really did not start out as a music major in college. I was into biology and mathematics.
Brainiac stuff.
Yeah, it's really
the brainy stuff.
But then music was more of a passion. I didn't see where the other things would go into a career.
Oh, wow, wow. Do you really enjoy what you do?
I really do.
Yeah, because I always see you're so, I had here Curtis Tucker too in the opera, just so focused when you're working with a group. Now, the St. Augustine Youth Chorus, you founded that group.
I did. When I first got here, I looked around and saw there was not a community group for children. And some of the schools have choruses, but some do not. And so I wanted to provide an opportunity for young people to come together and form a community.
So how old is the youngest?
8 is where we start them, 8 to 18. And
their resume isn't very long, is it? When they come in. So how do you say this 8-year can sing or not sing? Do you audition them at some point?
I do, I do. But it's not an exclusive audition in the sense that if they can carry a tune and if they like to sing, then they're in.
They have to love it.
I like to hear their voice to see where I might want to place them or where they are in their development.
You're a soprano, young man.
Yes.
You know. And how old is the oldest in the chorus?
18. Now, it used to be that they aged out younger, but I have a lot of kids that have been with me for all those years and they didn't want to leave. So I even have some boys who have changed voices now.
Yes.
And I've had to figure out a way to
Right.
incorporate and keep them involved because they weren't ready to.
Some of those kids sound like they have a frog in their throat. I mean, their voice changes so sometimes quite ugly for a while until it finds where it's going to be at.
Right.
And I guess that's a challenge. Where do I put this strange voice now?
Yeah.
And so at 18, you kick them out like Menudo?
Well, hopefully they move on to college or community groups or.
Right, right.
Yeah,
because I noticed that the choirs that we have here, there's the North Florida Women's Chorale, there's the St. Augustine Community Chorus, for instance, and most of the singers are seasoned people. You know, they're older people.
That's
and so
a nice way to put it.
well, no, and eventually you'd want to bring in young blood into that.
Yeah, the St. Augustine Community Chorus sponsors the youth chorus.
Okay.
And that really is with that goal in mind, that we will encourage those young people then to move into community groups, to find their way into groups
Right.
when they're a little older. They can come in when their voices change. They could go into the community group, and it's often a matter of scheduling.
Okay.
But
All right. Now the
definitely.
thing, how do you pick? I think the hardest thing with a choir or chorus is to pick what are you going to sing. And with these children, of course, they don't have maybe older people have a longer history of being around music. For them, it's kind of a new thing. So what things do you pick for them to sing, for instance?
Well, I like to give them a wide variety of music. I love exposing them to the classics. So I try to do that, have a couple of pieces so that they can learn Bach or Brahms or something. They're eager for just about anything. They don't
They're young.
they don't rebel. And in fact, they love singing in foreign languages, which is something the adults are sometimes resistant to. But the young
I know there's
people-
some pieces in Latin, even in original Latin.
We sing in Latin, German, Swahili.
Oh, wow. Wow, that is so interesting. Now, with going back to the North Florida Women's Chorale, where do you pluck these singers? I mean, how large is that group?
It's about 35 to 45. It
Okay,
varies, but
all right.
it's
What's the
that
largest
range.
group you've ever conducted in a choir or chorus?
Probably. We did a combined European tour with a choir and maybe 150 people.
How do you, oh, wow.
But, the community.
That's
chorus
150
system.
instruments, really?
Yes.
I mean,
It is.
It's amazing. So now what do you think it will be the limit for you with the women's choir or chorus? How many members do you think will max out?
Yeah. Well, it seems to hold at about the level it is, but I'd be happy to have more. So we're always looking
Hear that,
for
America?
Yep, we're always looking for new singers.
Choir wants you. And here's a question. What pieces do you pick to sing with them? You've been with them how long now?
About 8 years, I think.
All right. And in those 8 years, when you look back, what has been the variety of music that you've picked for this?
Well, we
choir?
do all kinds of things. For instance, this year we did a Magnificat by
beautiful,
a
yes.
young Norwegian composer, Kim Andre Arnesen, and we did it with strings.
Yes, I was there. That was
Yeah,
beautiful.
It was.
That was beautiful.
We all loved it.
Now,
that piece.
The last show you did, which was recent, was this Food for Body and Soul.
Right, totally different.
Yes.
Different emphasis. We talked about. We sang songs that had food in them.
Yeah, chocolate, souffles,
Pizza pie.
pizza pie, yes, amore.
Yeah.
That was so fun.
Yes.
Because it was the choir, and then there were little groups that would come in and sing a piece. So, how do you come up with those ideas?
I'm always have my ears open. I'm always looking at music, always looking for new things and new ideas.
So, for someone like you, now you dabble in instruments too. What do you play?
I play the piano.
The piano. Now, someone who plays the piano who has a chorus of young people and then a standard chorus. I mean, do you get any time to go to a chorus show and see something?
Actually, I do. I go a lot.
Really?
Yeah, I'm always on the lookout. I enjoy. I mean, we bring a lot of choruses into the city, but I also go to conventions where the top choirs in the country and in the world perform.
Wow.
So,
And that's what, 1 day, 2
and I
days? How
enjoy-
long are you there?
Well, those conferences run about 4 or 5 days. Wow. And I always enjoy.
And they're
that.
from all over the world.
Yes.
Wow. And it must be interesting to see what an Asian group would do.
Right.
You know, compare what ideas do they have. Does that stimulate you when you're thinking of programs
It
for
does.
the future?
And as you would expect, many of their choirs are so disciplined that they're.
In what way? In what way?
Well, even their appearance. I mean, the hems of the dresses will be exactly 2 inches off of the floor for every singer.
Yeah, that could be so Asian, you know, they're so meticulous, like Germans too, you know, they're so exact. I could see a guy actually with a little thing measuring them all as they're, pull yours up a little bit, okay, you know.
Yes.
I mean, and so they create not just a harmony in sound, but in visual aesthetics to them.
Right.
Huh.
And very complex music
Wow.
that takes a lot. They always sing from memory, which my group doesn't necessarily.
So wow, that must be amazing to have that, you know, let's go around the world kind of thing while you're there.
Yeah.
What do you see for the future for both of these groups, the young and the regular North Florida Women's Chorale?
Well, I would hope that with the youth especially, that will continue to grow and that more children will know about the program and come sing with us because it's such a wonderful part of their lives.
Okay.
Singing is just feels good for
Right,
most of us.
So here's my last question. This is the island question I give people in music. If you were on an island and you could just hear one chorus piece and it wouldn't drive you insane, you could listen to it over and over, what would you pick?
Yeah. I'm going to pick Handel's Messiah.
Wow.
And the reason, even though I am very tired of performing it, and I have
It's so
performed
popular.
it for
It's so
my
popular.
whole life,
Mm-hmm.
there is always something in it that speaks to me.
Wow.
And it's a quintessential piece for choirs in the way he did that part of it. And it involves, of course, orchestra and solos as well.
Well, we know you're in a lot of projects. We will have you back. And I thank you so much for your time. This was so much great information.
Thank you.
We'll be back after these messages.
At St. Augustine Distillery, we're part of a new generation of American craft distillers. Family owned and operated, we are committed to making the best possible spirits using local agriculture. Our distillers make everything by hand, from mashing and blending to distilling and tasting each and every batch. We distill and bottle everything we sell, making sure that the spirits are just right before barreling and aging. Bottled by real people, we love showing our guests not only what we do, but why we do it. We're passionate about educating our guests to not only what goes into each bottle, but how to make the best possible cocktails. We love St. Augustine, and thanks to your purchases, we're able to give back to the community and help local organizations each and every day.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you for your support.
St. Augustine Distillery, handmade with pride in the nation's oldest city.
In any industry, the best known product is the one most frequently purchased. Think of industry leaders like Coke, Nike, and Starbucks. It's true in real estate too. The most successful realtors have strong personal brands. In fact, branding is especially important in the real estate industry. The National Association of Realtors tells us that reputation is the most important factor when choosing an agent, and another word for reputation is brand. It's not who you know, it's who knows you.
Our ingredients are mostly natural. It's palm oil, coconut oil, olive oil. We put cocoa butter, shea butter, and real silk in our soaps. Also, it's something that's pleasing to the eye and you enjoy using it. Come visit us at Antoinette's Bathhouse.
We're back, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. Yes, yes. We are now with Kathleen Vanden Berg. I hope I pronounced that correctly.
Yes,
Thank you, thank you. Kathleen, I've seen you behind the piano most of the time. I've seen you direct choirs or choruses, but you fascinate me behind the piano. I love to watch you, and the last time I saw you, you were doing one of these duo where two players are playing the same keyboard, and that was very impressive, very impressive.
oh, thank you.
So tell us, where are you originally from?
I was originally from Iowa,
Mm.
and then born in Iowa, moved to Michigan, and then came back to Iowa to a little Dutch community there, and took piano lessons all through that time, and then switched to organ. Well, actually, I was doing both things at the same time.
And when do you have the earliest recollection of you sitting in front of a piano and saying, "This is nice"?
Yeah. Yes, My first teacher was Mrs. Mulder, and I can remember I was in the 2nd grade, and I first played my little piece, and I was just quite thrilled with the whole thing. And then I remember when I first played in front of people the Clementi Sonatina, and I actually did it without forgetting, and that was a real high point for me.
So you had memorized everything, because it's just more than what to play. You have to know when to play it, how long to hold it. Piano is such a complete instrument.
It is.
But it's so complex, and it always amazes me that someone actually has 2 hands reading 2 texts.
Yeah.
And
well, then the organ would fascinate you more, because then you've got to involve your feet as
yes,
well.
Right.
And that's when I went to college. That's what I really
You majored
loved
in
to do.
organ.
I majored in organ.
Why organ and not piano?
I wish I had a really, really profound reason, but I knew I would have to do a recital, and I knew that the organist never had to memorize their recital, and the pianist did. And I was so frightened with having to memorize an entire hour's worth of music that I decided I would major in organ. I'm very glad I did. It was
no regrets about the
no
organ.
regret. And plus, I mean, there's this wonderful feeling of power when you can put on all the stops and just play that great chord, and it just, I don't know, it just transports you out of yourself. It's fabulous.
Now, you were directing the St. Augustine Community Chorus for a while.
I was.
When I first saw you, that's what you were doing.
For quite a long while. About 10 years I did.
Oh, wow.
It was a joy. It was a real joy. Yeah.
Really? Is there any kind of music you gravitate to because you're a piano organ player? When you look back, you say, wow, you know, it's like when I go in my closet, I realize blue is my favorite color. Yes, there's so much blue in there. The musicians do that too? Wow.
I think on the organ, I would gravitate towards Bach, although I've done, you know, many modern works too. But there's something about, as an organist, if you don't like to play Bach, you've really taken about 50% of the repertoire away from yourself.
Yes.
And I think later in life, I really consider myself a teacher rather than a performer.
Oh.
And I really got involved with vocal jazz. So that's one of the things that I love to do. And the whole time I was teaching in Atlanta, which was about 10 years, I had the most incredible vocal jazz groups. We called ourselves Peach. And we traveled all the way from California up to Virginia and down to Florida from Atlanta, and just had a wonderful, wonderful time.
What kind of songs does this group sing? When you look back.
Lots of things, but you know, lots of jazz arrangements, and did a lot of group scat, individual scat, and we, in the beginning, because it was a long time ago, but we sort of modeled ourselves after Manhattan Transfer.
Oh, yes.
And did a lot of her things.
They were huge for a while.
Oh, yeah.
They were huge for a while. I still listen to some of their tunes on some of these radio stations that like to play.
They were fabulous. They were. And I'm still in contact with those kids. Of course, they're in their 40s now, and sending their own children to college, but we're very close still.
Wow. And in that whole group of jazz, about how many members were in that group?
We usually had 16 to 18.
Okay.
And I had a combo that I played. I did the keyboard, and then I had a bass player, a guitar, and a drum set.
Wow.
And we used to go around Atlanta trying to earn money for our trips. You know, we'd go to play in this hotel and in this hotel, and people would pay us money. We'd say yes, we'd put it in our account and go off somewhere.
Amazing. So, do you I remember I was talking with you and you said, oh, I've kind of retired, so I became the chairman of Romanza. Oh, you know. Okay, for those of you who don't know what Romanza is, it's an event that happens in St. Augustine for 10 days, about 10 events per day. We're talking about at least 100 events. The madame here was in charge of this, okay? How challenging is something like Romanza? Let's forget that you were thinking of retirement when you did this, but how challenging is that?
It has wonderfully, it has expanded over the years and become more focused. When I look upon what we did 5 years ago, it's almost embarrassing, you know, and as we have developed along, we have we have really, I think, now finally have a product that I'm really justly proud of. One of the wonderful things about being in St. Augustine is that the arts community is so supportive. You know, you could be in a place where all the musicians were jealous of each other and no one helped, but I just have a lot of people in my circle of art circle who say, okay, you need something on Saturday night, okay, I'll get something together, you know, and that's just amazing.
You become a network.
That's right.
And everyone steps out of there to, yeah, that's
right.
amazing.
And
but that's true love for art, see?
Right.
That's true love for art.
And I think that for me, the exciting thing is to think of new events and then actually put them on the board. I mean, I was so excited with the several events that happened this year that we hadn't done before.
There's so much that's free.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is free, and you're like, Mamma mia, this is great, top-notch performers, and I just have to sit and enjoy.
I know, and I just wish there were, for me, I'm trying to run to all these different things, and sort of by Sunday night, I'm just stretched out like 10 days of running around.
Right.
But you know, all of it has been a joy, and as I said, I write everybody a thank you note who has participated, and as I'm writing the thank you note, thank you email, I'm thinking back to what they did, how the audience reacted, you know, just all the things people said to me when they came up afterwards, you know, people who say, we come to St. Augustine all the time, but I'm definitely going to come during this time in May because I've had such a good time. And that is really such a reward. It's such a good thing.
Well, there's everything. I mean, there's harpists and all kinds of classical. There's jazz, there's country, there's tap dance. I mean, you go on and on and on. And it's like, you're walking to the city, and it's a city that suddenly is a carnival of music. And I think that I have to commend you. A job well done.
Thank you.
And now here you finish this. Are you already planning the next romanza?
I usually start in September. Honestly, I do.
Wow.
Right now, I'm planning a concert. I still have one conducting gig I do, which is the St. Augustine Chamber Singers, which is a wonderful group of about 25 to 30 musicians, and Kerry sings in that, and you know several of the people who sing in there. And we have been at Carnegie Hall twice, and now this year we're going to do 2 concerts, one on September 29 and one on October 6 at the Art Association.
Okay.
And the first one is at the Basilica. And I am in the throes of planning the program, so if you would come to my house today, you would find music in stacks all over the dining room table and the floor and all. And as I try to make these decisions, yes.
Well, there's such little music in the world; it must be quite easy, you know. But I mean, it's incredible. It's incredible, and so I'll bring you back to the show one day when you really retire. But you keep very busy. When you're on your own, and I know you must sit on the piano once in a while and play. What do you play just to relax yourself?
I play Brahms. I play Gershwin.
I love Gershwin. Who doesn't love Gershwin? He's so American, you know.
And I like to play show tunes and, you know, that sort of thing.
I
have a big stash of music that is about to push me out of my office, so one of these days a great sorting will take place.
And here's the island question for you too. If you were on an island and you had to listen to a piece of music that you know would not drive you insane, that you could say, I can listen for the rest of my life to this, what do you think would be your pick?
That's really difficult. And
I bet.
You asked Kerry about choral work, and I thought, oh, I would have to say the Brahms Requiem then. Or maybe I would just bring all of Manhattan Transfer. But if I just had to choose one thing, I think it would be the Bach-Brandenburg Concerti. I really love those. And Linda and I tried to play one this year, and the arrangement had us playing over on top of each other almost the whole time.
It looks like you were playing Twister.
Yes. We finally said, okay, no.
It was really, yeah. Well, yeah, she's over there. I mean, it's not like you can, there's a body there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that concert with 4 hands on the keyboard was so flawless. It was so...
Oh, that's so nice that you think that.
Yeah, well... you know.
That's wonderful.
Well, to me, it was flawless because
Aw,
I
thank
know that, okay, I'll listen to an opera, but I know that in Italy, when Italians listen to opera, they know the opera better than the singer.
Yes.
And you better not make a mistake because they will boo you off the stage. And so that must be, the pressure must be immense. But if I sat there, I wouldn't know that he went instead of and I have no big, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But when I listen to that, you could just close your eyes and just, music makes me leave. I always tell friends, when I listen to beautiful music, whether it's John Coltrane or whether it's a beautiful musical piece, whether it's Brahms or Tchaikovsky, whatever, I leave. I leave. And that's the power of music. You think music heals?
Absolutely.
I ask people that question.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, I always say there is no bad music. There is some better than others, but no bad music. And so in the morning, I actually like to exercise to country music, which most of my friends think is really weird. But there's a great beat, you know, and you can keep going with that. So, you know, I think all of music touches us in some way.
Well, I will have you again, and it's great having you here once again.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Jorge.
you. Thank you.
It's a joy.
We'll be back after these messages.
Our ingredients are mostly natural. It's palm oil, coconut oil, olive oil. We put cocoa butter, shea butter, and real silk in our soaps. Also, it's something that's pleasing to the eye and you enjoy using it. Come visit us at Antoinette's Bathhouse.
At Martinez & Associates, we can help you with many things. Number one is income for life throughout your retirement, which is very important. Number two would be Medicare choices, which are very confusing. Number three is a legacy for your loved ones. And finally, keeping you independent throughout retirement. My name is Tuli Martinez. Call this number. Y hablamos español.
We're back, ladies and gentlemen. This time we are back with Mr. David Toscanini. So nice to have you here.
Thank you, bro.
I kept running into you because I saw you play in so many places. One of those places, Centro, wonderful restaurant there, and right in the center of our town, in the historic section. And you're behind this grand piano, and you play, and it's so nice to sit there. And you play everything. You play everything. So where you're originally from, David?
Well, I'm from what I call the Deep South, but I'm actually from Caracas, Venezuela.
Okay, all right. And how long have you been here in the United States now?
About 27 years.
And in St. Augustine?
About 25 years. I got to St. Augustine when Hurricane Andrew left Miami, and my car broke down in Vero Beach, and next day I was here. But
okay, all right. So now the instrument you play is the piano?
Piano, yes.
Now how
since I was 4.5 years old.
4.5 years old?
Yes.
You've always been with the piano. Do you remember the first piano you had, what it was?
Oh yes, it was a Wurlitzer.
A Wurlitzer, that is very Americano.
Actually, I could tell you that when I was 4 years old, I went to Sears in Caracas, Venezuela with my mother and my grandmother. And my mother tells the story, once in a while, but I saw a grand piano, I grabbed the leg, and I wouldn't let go. There was not a soul in the store that couldn't get me out of there.
I'm in love. Oh, wow. And it's funny, you're still attached to that grand piano for what I see.
Yes.
And so, did you play at that time at all? Or was it that you saw this instrument? And
no, I never played before that. Actually, my mother, at that time, there were no cell phones. My grandmother said, call your father. And my mother called my grandfather, and my grandfather said, buy him a little piano.
A toy piano?
A toy piano, yes. And tell him that I'm going to get him the other one tomorrow or the day after. Don't worry. And it totally worked,
It calmed you down?
Yes, I was out of the store. Then my grandfather also gave me an electric air keyboard. I haven't seen one since like 1978. And as far as the keyboard, it was awful. It was really, but I was making music by ear, you know.
So what you heard, you could reproduce
I could reproduce, yes.
on the keys.
And my mother said that I used to swear to her, I mean, from morning to night, every single day, like, please, you know, I'm going to play and get me a piano.
I am an artist. I am creating. Where is my piano?
So finally, a few months later, I got my first piano.
Remember what that was?
Yeah, there was the
Wurlitzer,
yes.
Oh, wow. And how long did you keep that Wurlitzer?
For about a year, 2 years, then we traded for another Wurlitzer.
Another Wurlitzer?
Yes.
Improved, 60% more.
Yes.
One of those.
Although a few years later, was in Santiago in Chile, and my grandmother's cousin, she heard me playing, and she actually gave me her piano.
Which was?
It was a Bludner. It was. It's 100 years old. It's been in the family for 100 years.
You still have that piano?
We have the piano and the original invoice. that piano went from Germany to Chile, Venezuela, U.S.
Oh.
Even traveled on an airplane once.
It's a German make, isn't it?
Yes.
It's very good.
It's about 1,200 pounds. It's a birdcage piano. The mechanism is a little bit different. But you open the piano, it has a plaque with all the awards of late 1800,
like a bottle of wine. It has all the medallions of all the... Unbelievable. And you still play on that piano?
Yeah, that's a hard piano to play.
Why?
The keys are very hard. It has a temper.
And how are the pedals on the piano?
Not too bad.
Not too bad?
Not too bad.
But do you sit behind it and still play on it?
Once in a while.
Oh, wow. Because after, oh my lordy lord. And so when you started playing, what music were you being attracted to?
Well, my teacher was German. She was super nice, but she was very strict. Very strict. So for me, there was no chopstick.
Oh.
I couldn't dare to play chopstick. She would really get mad to me. And I'm silly by nature. So, but anyway, but she was very nice. She was with me actually till she passed away from old age.
So
for
how long
about
did you
16 years.
16 years with the same teacher.
Yes. And very, 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 very nice. I also went through a small music school in Venezuela.
Okay, a music school in Venezuela?
Yes.
And so the music you like to play when you play?
Oh, well, the key was always to have a connection to the song.
An emotional connection?
An emotional connection, yes. I think I never played a song just because you have to play that song and it's part of the curriculum or whatever to get to this point, to the other point. No, if I didn't have a connection to the song, I completely refused to play the song. And since I was a little kid. So when I got actually my piano, the piano from Chile, I also got an encyclopedia that was made in Spain in 1917. And it came with a course of how to play the piano, but it had everything you can imagine classical. So at that time there was no internet, and I didn't need to go any music store because I had everything at home.
You had everything in that encyclopedia.
Yes. So I used to go through, different choices, or my teacher, she used to bring different choices and said, look, you can play this, you want to play that, or maybe we're not going to do all these exercises books. We're just going to pick this really difficult piece, and you're just going to practice on this, And but I always had to have that connection.
Wow. And so, it must be interesting to have that emotional connection with music that you play. And so, do the classical, the basic classical maestros attract you, or does popular music attract you?
I think that's like, you go through a process, and it's like growing up, right? And there was a time that I played Bach, that I played Mozart, and then there was a time that everything was Beethoven for me. Even my hair was like Beethoven. It was like everything was Beethoven.
That's such a teenage stage,
Like 10, 11, 12, 13, Beethoven.
I'm channeling Beethoven.
Until there was a switch for Chopin. And then
I like Chopin.
Chopin, I like very much. Very, very refined, and I like Liszt too.
Oh yeah, Liszt.
But Liszt sometimes gets a little abstract for my taste. A little bit, but it's very demanding too. I also play a little bit of Debussy or Rachmaninoff. Or,
Debussy.
but I also started writing music when I was around 13, 14 years.
So you write your own pieces?
Yes.
And when you write a piece, does it come to you, or is it something that you start and you keep adding and adding and adding?
Well, you remember that series, My Favorite Martian? When the two antennas go like this?
Yes.
Okay. It's like you connect to something. You don't know what it is. You don't know where it is. You know you're there. Once you're there, you know you're there. And the energy flows. Wow. So I like to believe that it's my music. But I don't know if I'm the channel for something or somebody that is just whispering in my ear or just moving my fingers, you know.
Oh, wow.
And I just think, just talking about it, you get goosebumps, you know. It's like
it's that kind of outer body experience.
Although, on a personal note, I have to say that most songs that I ever written are dedicated to a lady.
The second emotional connection.
Yes.
We'll call it.
Except for one time that one of my cats died, I was very sad and I wrote a song. But yeah.
Interesting. So you could almost say your engine, you have an emotional engine that keeps making music.
Absolutely. In this business, in music, there is only one way, and it's everything out. Everything out. All your energy.
Give it your all. Give it your all.
Yes. I don't know if the best analogy, but the bullfighter goes to the arena, you know, and it has to be everything.
Yes.
There is no middle. There is no little bit. It's just every
focused.
single bit. It has to be.
I have to confess, I have been to a bullfight. It's not the nicest thing to see, but
yeah, probably not.
I was curious, and so I saw one.
But all the music is part of everything.
Yes.
I mean, music by itself is a dimension, but it's part of good, it's part of bad, it's part of hate, it's part of love, it's part of war, it's peace.
Right,
you know,
because even if you had a movement of hate, they'd have an anthem.
Yes,
they'd
of
have
course.
some music
and they
behind
feed
it.
the energy
and
out
it
of it.
Feeds that,
yes.
Yeah, so I see why you say music could be bad too.
And I do believe the music do open portals to places, you know.
And that's why meditation, chanting, things like that, people reach a certain state to certain tones and sounds.
Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing. Would you play something for us?
Yes, I would love to.
Are you going to play one of your own pieces?
Yes, I'm going to play a song that is called 2 Days Ago.
2 days ago?
Yes.
Hopefully you did not write it 2 days ago, but
I
it doesn't
wrote it about
matter.
2 years ago, but who's counting?
All right, my friends, that is Mr. Dave. And when we come back, we're going to hear 2 days ago right now.
Our ingredients are mostly natural. It's palm oil, coconut oil, olive oil. We put cocoa butter, shea butter, and real silk in our soaps. Also, it's something that's pleasing to the eye and you enjoy using it. Come visit us at Antoinette's Bathhouse.
That was Mr. David Toscanini. Thank you. That's our show for this week. And stay tuned for next week because it's going to be a blast.